this is what I want to see, this is what it should not look like, and then here's what I want to see again, go. And that's kind of looked like what you were doing there, from the video. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you followed up with, I'm assuming the next day, what was the next step in that lesson sequence?
Pretty much just going over like common errors, which now that you're saying that I could have been more explicit about like ways that people mess this up instead of just showing them ideally what I would like them to do, because if they haven't done it
Yeah.
before, there's no like expectation of what somebody might do that isn't doing it properly. So I guess showing them what to do by what you're not supposed to do and like
Yeah.
what's commonly done as a mistake could have been better. But yeah, after the fact, after seeing it, I was telling the students sort of what I saw in general as far as, hey, instead of trying to run under it and make an impossible set, do a pass or vice versa, and also
Mm-hmm.
keeping their feet moving instead of just spectating until the very last second. But yeah, just kind of
Yeah.
common mistakes is what I went over the next day.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was, I felt like watching that lesson, your PE class is very well organized. It runs really smoothly, um, from the beginning to the end. And just the amount of time that's maximized, that the students are practicing skills, getting in movement, being active, is great. There's not a lot of downtime.
Sweet. Thank you.
Um, I think your expectations were clear. Like, you just outlined what you were going to do for the day. You had modeling for what was expected in the specific skill work, and so I feel like that part, your structures, you've really worked hard to build that in your classroom, and
Thank
it
you.
shows.
Thank you.
Uh,
One thing too,
yeah,
Anne,
go
that I
ahead.
was kind of happy with. I kind of did this on the spot. Was in my plan, I had them doing like setting and passing lines. But what I did at the time during class was, since there was such a wide variety of ability levels, and usually the pairings were people who were good or pretty good at volleyball or have played in the past, and then the other pairings were people who had not. I gave them like benchmarks to be able to progress to the next thing. So I said
Right.
5 feet apart, five in a row, and then 5 feet apart, 10 in a row, and then kind of like staggered it out from there, which kept it interesting for the kids who could have done like 100 in a row from 5 feet.
Yeah, I did see that. I took note of that too. That, there were some kids who were struggling to get five in a row, and then there were some that, like you said, could do 100 in a row.
Yeah.
So, the other part that I thought, you did really well with is when you broke out into the skill level groups and really spent that time with the kids who have, minimal skills in volleyball, where you have your volleyball players or kids who just athletically, they get it,
Mm-hmm.
and they went off and were able to play a game and be successful at that. So then the kids who really needed your coaching, you were there and giving them the feedback they needed. So, a lot of times, some people think, oh, well, we need to mix everybody together, but then those advanced kids don't get the opportunity to, put their skills to work, and then the lower level kids don't get the coaching as much as they need if you do that. So I like the way that you have that set up.
Well, thanks, because I've struggled with trying to do what you said people would assume would be right as far as like melding everybody together. I've tried to fight the good fight on that because I didn't have a plan that was productive or constructive for each group, but it ended up being not productive for either group because you're kind of aiming in the
Right?
middle and missing everybody. So I was just glad that I found something that was, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like binarily different, but still suitable for each group. I was lucky I could lean on my TAs and the experienced volleyball players, and that they actually did a good job instead of like getting all cliquish and like outcasting
Right.
the lower 12 of the, lower six of the 12. They like mixed up and went pretty well.
Yeah. And that's the thing you come across is if you try to mix everybody, your more advanced players will get bored or frustrated, and then you lose that engagement because they're not, you know, they're not meeting their need of wanting to get a more advanced playing in. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good lesson.
Sweet.
So I didn't have very much feedback as far as things to work on. I just think you have a really well structured class, so you're doing a good job.
Well, thank you. At the end of the recording period and at the end of the period again, the way it got away from us, the first thing that came in my mind was like, oh, this is the one thing that I could have done better last time too, was have that concrete feedback in real time, versus touching back on it the next day where the recency isn't, as good. So maybe they don't associate it as well by memory. But
Yeah.
that's one thing I want to do a better job of in the future, is like block out even a little bit of time just to like, but by then the kids are in like full on go mode, and then they want to just play
Right.
play until it's time to get out of there, but that's no excuse really.
Yeah, well, and like I said, you maximize the time that they're active and working on skills. And, for some kids, that's the only activity they're going to get in a day. So um, you got to maximize it.
For sure.
Yeah. Do you have questions for me?
Not currently. I mean, I guess not about the current lesson, but
Okay.
for future reference or like the last requirements I have, should I just
Yeah.
talk to you by email or wait to hear from you about
Uh,
that?
I was going to let you know. So there's two more observations due, um, videos,
Hmm.
and they're due by May 31st.
Okay.
So you have the whole month of May. I don't care when you do them. You could do them both next week, and get them done, or
Okay.
you could space them out however you want. And for the post observation, I'll probably just shoot you an email because I feel like you're running to the end. You're almost done, and so I'll probably just send you observation notes and do it over email
Awesome.
so we can check off those last two lessons. So by May 31st, and then I'll send out a reminder for the CPAST.
Okay.
Is the evaluation, you already did that. So at the end of the term, you and Ian sit down and say, here's where it was at the end of winter. Is there any areas you want to change? And then send it back in to me. So
Sweet. And those
yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, sorry. Those last two meetings by the 31st, or those last two observations, there's no like triangle type meeting. It would just be the going over the CPAS stuff with Ian and then sending it to you. Nothing with all three of us anymore.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We might at the very end have a wrap up meeting, but I try to respect your time at the end of the year. It's really busy.
No problem.
So,
Yeah, I just asked too because O'Brien, he took a position in Malala, and he's kind of been
okay.
in and out. So just
Yeah.
tracking him down for a day if I needed to. I'd want to get out ahead of that if I could. But
And he only is required to do one observation for the spring term. So if he's already done that, then he's good to go. And if he hasn't, then you need to get him in to do one lesson observation before the end of the term.
okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it, and hopefully you have a good rest of your Sunday.
You too, Ann. Thank you.
All right. I'll send you notes on email too,
Awesome.
like I did last time. Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye now. Sweet.